Are you a new Planet Zoo console player struggling to learn just the basic controls of the game? Or are you a Planet Coaster console player trying to get through the learning curve of Planet Zoo console? In this video, I will show you the basic controls of the game. When first loading into the game, it can be very overwhelming with the amount of tabs and just the amount of things in each tab. Don't get overwhelmed. For new console players, I would suggest going into career mode. In career mode, they will show you the ins and outs of the game, along with basic controls and everything you're going to need to know for playing Planet Zoo console. If you're still struggling with the game after playing through career mode, this video may help you understand it just a little bit more. On the bottom here, we have a lot of tabs. We got animals, habitat, nature, facilities, construction, blueprints, staff, paths, terrain, and barriers, and the delete tool. When going into animals, you have the animal market, the exhibit animal market, animal management, and exhibit management. These are blank right now because you do have to place a trade center in your zoo. That will make it so that you can actually look at the market for your animals and start bringing animals into your zoo. Exhibit animals will be smaller animals like snakes, spiders, etc. Habitats. This is where you will find everything that you want to put in habitats. You got food and water. You got coolers and heaters. You got their bedding and their food enrichment, toys, and climbable pieces. Nature, this is going to be all your foliage, trees, bushes, rocks, you name it. Facilities, this is going to be a lot in here. You will have guest facilities. You'll have the utilities, media devices and education, your transport rides, bins, benches, and security, staff facilities, and your animal exhibits. Construction, this is where you're going to find all your construction pieces, down to the signs, the buildings, centerpieces, basic shapes, everything like that. Blueprints, this is where you're going to find your in-game blueprints, or if you have downloaded blueprints off the Planet Zoo workshop. Staff, this is where you hire your staff, hiring your caretaker, keeper, mechanic, security, vendor, vet, and educationer. First things first, I am on PlayStation, so on PlayStation, if you want to get to the Zoopedia, you want to push the big button in the middle of your controller. This will bring up this. You can get your zoo management here with all your tabs of your finance, animals overview, staff overview, vet research, mechanic research, facilities, education, transport, memorials, and your audio visual. The big thing in this game is the Zoopedia. This will show you everything for every animal that's in the game. Let's just do the aardvark, for instance. It will give a little bit of info about the animal here. Here it will tell you what continents there are, the regions, the biomes, the minimum habitat requirements. If you want multiple adults in here, you want to push X and change this to, let's just say 2. It will give you the land requirement for that, the requirement for climbing, depth water requirement, and the boundary requirement. This will be their species data. This will give you the information of how many are in a group, give you the size of them, their life expectancy, their weight, all that good info about the animal. You will get the fun facts here, a little bit of fun facts about them animals, and just their dietary options and their habitat enrichments. This is what species they get along with. So you can actually put an African buffalo in with a common ostrich and they will be just fine in the same habitat. If you want that animal, just push triangle and it'll bring them right to the market for that animal. When you're in the market, you want to take a look at their ratings. Obviously, the better the rating, the better they are, but they will cost more or be for conservation credits. It will give you the size, longevity, fertility, and immunity. This is where you see what animals you have bought already and have not put them in a habitat yet. Trading history, this is where you will see your trading history if you trade with anybody, and the rewards. Pushing the big button and square at the same time will give you the timeline of everything and when the expector is coming. Basic moving around the camera like this and back and forth is just used with your analog sticks. To zoom in and zoom out, you use the back triggers, just like that. You can also go into multiple different camera views if you hold down square and push L1 on PlayStation, and you will get standard, free look, explorer mode, scenic mode, and actually a route editor with effects. Explorer mode is basically your flip cam mode that was in Planet Coaster. Kind of gives you just the guest view of what you will see in the zoo. If you want to change the time of the day, you hold down square and you push R1, and you can actually have it be different types of weather. Yes, there is rain, there is snow in this game, as well as you can change the time of the day if you want it right at noon, or if you want it all the way at nighttime, you can do that. Water. Just place water in there. Cool thing about this game, you can click on the water, go down, and you have all these different types of water colors that you can have in your zoos. It's a really nice touch that we did not have in Planet Coaster. You can even have toxic water, guys. Cosmic Cow, Gulpy, you name it, we got it in here. And if you don't like it, just delete it. Simple as that. And then we have the barriers. The null barrier. This is what you will use when you are a bit more advanced with all the basic controls of the game. This is basically an invisible barrier for your habitats. Always want to make sure you put a habitat gate in your habitat. That is what makes it the habitat. In your habitat, you'll find land area. That will tell you how much land area is in your habitat. In the Zoopedia, you will find for which animal what their required land area is. So definitely make sure you want to look at that. We have red brick, concrete, wooden logs, glass, one-way glass, thick glass, and many more to choose from of what you want your habitat to look like. You have multiple different habitat gates as well you can choose from. All this is just your settings to do with your barriers. So let's get into some habitat controls. When you have made your habitat here, you want to put an animal in there. So we go to Zoopedia, capybara. Go to the market. You can push X to adopt them. What I like to do is you go push R1, you go into your animal storage here. You L2 on both of them, push R2, send to zoo. So to get those animals in your habitat, you want to make sure the path is connected to your trade center and your habitat, and you want to make sure you have a caretaker. You will see this caretaker bringing your animal to your habitat. And look at the beautiful capybara. We are going back into what the terrain needs to be. So click on the animal here, go over. They will need a hard shelter, and their terrain distribution is not the greatest. Instead of backing out of all this and going into your terrain like I did at the beginning of learning this game and not knowing how much grass, short grass you need or soil, I've learned that all you have to do is click on it and it will bring it up there and you will see how much you need. So these capybaras love soil. So let's just give them a bit of soil here. They are good on soil now, but they want more short grass. So you give them the short grass here, and they're good. You will see that their terrain is good now. But they also will need that hard shelter. So you can click on that, and it will literally give you to the species of that animal, and you can either make one, or you can just place a pre-made one here. You want to make sure it's down far enough so they have no problems getting into it. Should be fine there. But that's not all you want to do. Also want to make sure they have bedding in here so they can snooze as much as they want in here. Make sure that the animals have enrichment, which is basically toys, etc. For that, just go into your Habitat tab. You can get over here. And these are the enrichments that the capybaras like. So you just add a few of these things down. Give them a sprinkler. And you should see that enrichment go up once you push play. Just like that. Social. You want to make sure that your animals have the amount of friends in the habitat that they require. To see that, go into the Zoopedia, and you will see here they like to be in a group size of 4 to 20. So we need more capybaras in here. And just like that, we have more capybaras in here. Their social will go up. Now capybaras like a bit of water. We will go on our terrain editor. You'll want to go to push. I would make the size a bit smaller here and just push the terrain a bit back here. And just like that, they got some water to play in. More capybaras in here. You will have to make sure that you have more places for them to go to sleep. So just add another one here. Now they need a little more coverage when it comes to foliage and whatnot. So they need more coverage for foliage that is pretty low. So all you got to do is come down to biomes and click one of these. Sometimes they don't like what you put in here. We will add some foliage in here. Just to give them a little bit more coverage. Just placing them random. Another thing is if you want to undo in Planet Coaster, all you had to do is push square and hold the left arrow. Unfortunately, that is not the case in this one. You'll have to back out of everything and then push that. It's just a weird tweak that they did, and hopefully they fix that in the future. Let's see if they like any of this that we put in here. So they do. If they don't like it, it will be red around the plant or tree that you put in here. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure that you're putting in stuff that they like. Add a bunch of this stuff here. just to get that coverage up to at least where they want it. Other thing too is just with some of the foliage, copy it all and you can set it down in other places here. Let's get some over here. Okay, let's see what that's at. And they are good. They are good on plants. You can obviously do way more. Their meter for coverage is extremely high. So if you want, you could really put a lot of foliage in this habitat. And just like that, you have all the requirements for the capybara to be happy in their habitats. Everything is green, and that's what we like to see. With the heat maps for habitats, well, you click on the animal there, and you can go to their traversable area. The blue you see here is what they can walk through in the habitat. If you see that they can't, there's no blue in their sleeping area, you have to adjust it so they can get in there, otherwise they will not be able to get in there, as well as their water and whatnot. Some foliage they can walk through, some they can't. With this, they cannot walk through that, so they have to go around. So keep that in mind when you're doing a lot of foliage in your habitats, that your animals can still walk around through their habitat. Pathing is one of the hardest and tedious things in these Planet games. Planet Coaster had very rough pathing, and it has came along to Planet Zoo as well. Same pathing as both games, and it can be tedious and it can take a while to get it right, but just keep going at it, keep trying different ways of doing it, and eventually you'll figure it out. You also have queue pathing in this game for your transport rides, and we have staff pathing. If you don't want your guests to go into certain areas where you have all your staff buildings, place the staff pathing there. And then we have the delete path tool here. Let's get into pathing. Like I said before, pathing is very tedious in this game. Some things will not work how you want them to, and it can be very frustrating. But like I said before, keep at it, keep trying new things, and eventually you will get the hang of it. To get in your pathing, you go to the pathing tab, and this will pop up. You can change the different colors, type of pathing that you want in your zoos. In different areas, you can switch up that to make it look like you're in a different area of the zoo. Angle snap. Angle snap will basically make it snap to whatever degree you have your pathing going to. If you don't want angle snap on, if you don't want it to do that at all, just put it down to 0, and you can literally place it wherever you would like. Just like that. The length. You can change the length of how long you want these paths to, all the way that, or to as low as that. Width is the same. You can make it wider and not change it back unless you are in meters. If you have your setting for feet, it will not change back. You have to put it back into meters, which is a really weird bug that I really hope they fix in the future. The camera. You can have it to follow or follow and rotate. This will just rotate to wherever your pathing is. I usually leave this on follow. That way you can see where it's going. Settings. This is where you can use it for flattened terrain. You can have your terrain flat to your pathing. Tunneling. If you have terrain, this will go right through your terrain and it will leave a tunnel in your terrain. Path supports. You can have this turned off and on if you want support beams on your pathing, curved slopes. When you are going up or down with your pathing, if you have curved slopes off, you cannot move it. Turning that on will get you to be able to move it different directions while going up or down. Railing on ground queue will give you railings, just like it says, railings on the ground queues. Railings on elevated. You turn that off and you will have no railings. And you can make custom fencing if that's what you desire. Same as the ground pathing. For facilities in this game, you want to make sure that they're tucked away guest pathing, because if you push the big button on PlayStation with triangle, it will show the heat map for everything. This will give you animal welfare, habitat, traversable areas, the temperature, your water, your power, facilities, negative guest impact. So if you see these red circles around, if you have your guest path in these circles, it will give a negative impact on your guest and they will complain about it. So with facilities, you kind of want them tucked away so that they are not bugging your guests at all. When you have facilities, habitats, and anything that needs power, you will have to make sure that it has power. You can go into your heat map and go to power here. It will have a blue circle of everything that's powered. Here, this is not powered. So how do we get power in there? What we will do is we'll go to facilities. You want to go to utilities, and they have a couple different options for power. You can use a solar panel, a transformer, or a wind turbine. Usually transformers are your best bet to get the power. They're small and can be in smaller areas. Again, it is a facility. So you want to make sure that it's not interfering with your guest path. Just like with the other facilities, we will make a staff path here and just have it go along to that. So now, if we look at our heat map for power, we have power in this section. You just want to make sure that you have powers throughout your zoo so everything is working and out of the way of the guests. In construction or nature or whatever the case may be, there are some moving things up here. This one will just get it to move wherever you want it to go. This is an advanced move tool. You will be able to go on an active axis of X, which is back and forth like that, Y, up and down, Z, that way back and forth. Now, in Planet Zoo, they have XY, YZ, and XZ, where you can do both at the same time, something we did not have in Planet Coaster. So seeing that is a very nice touch. And then we have the advanced rotation. This will give you the active axis of X, which moves it like that, Y, which moves it around like that, and Z, which goes that way up and down. Now we're in construction. If you want to start making buildings in your zoo, you'll want to go to this house looking item, and you can start off with walls here. These little symbols on your pieces will tell you if it's a gridded piece or not. Gridded pieces will give you this grid along to it, and you will only be able to place in the grid. You can turn down the grid size or turn it up if you want more precise spots. Or you can do the height where it's little, or you can make it full where you're getting full 4-meter height. We will just make a building here, just a square building, just to show you how it's done. Just like that. And you could put a roof on it, you could put a door in here, you could put facilities in here to dress those up, because the facilities that are not in-game blueprints are very basic and ugly looking. So you want to make sure you put buildings around them and spice them up a little bit. Say you want to add some cool stuff to these buildings. Use pieces here. We have a lot of different options here. You can move snap to make that move like that, or you can turn it off just like your pathing. Similar to that. You can have add to building on. It will add it to that building. One thing that I like to use is align to surface. Say we want to make just a little awning here. If you do align a surface, it will literally be right on there where you don't have to advance, move it to make it perfect. You will want to do advance move just to get it to look perfect, but that is just because I'm nitpicking here. Kind of like that. You can also have it to be aligned to water. Random rotation. Planet Coaster, guys. Playing Planet Coaster, we always had to rotate everything to make it not look so repetitive. When placing trees down, if you see here, they all look the same. After a while, it will look very repetitive. Random rotate, if turned on, when you click it, they will change rotation and everything won't look exactly the same anymore. It's a very nice touch that Planet Zoo put into this game, and we are loving it. We now have the option of turning climbing enabled on and off for your construction pieces. If you have the climbing enabled, animals in the habitat will be able to climb these poles or any wood pieces, whatever is a climbable piece. If you do not want your animals climbing up these and getting out of your habitats, all you got to do is click on it and go to the climbing enable and just push X on PlayStation and it will disable it. The animal will not be able to climb it now. Get into blueprints. Blueprints are a nice thing to have if you don't want to spend tons of time building all your own custom buildings. Blueprints is the way to go. In here you will get in-game blueprints that just look phenomenal to add to your zoo. It will cut down the time spent on zoos a lot. There are plenty of different blueprints to choose from. And you can also download blueprints off the workshop and get things other people have created. Like the dome I built. If you want a dome like this to put a bunch of different animals in here, get it off the workshop. Simple as that. On the side, I have a lot of red alerts popping up. To get to that, on PlayStation, you push the big button in square. Before, all we saw was timeline and inspector. Now we have visiting player alerts. If you have your friend either on PlayStation or Xbox, depending on the platform, on your friends list, their computer character will visit your park from time to time. So it's a nice little touch. Here it will show animal alerts. You click on that, it will say all these animals are hungry and one has a disease. Their staff alert. It will tell you that you have no security guards. You definitely want to have those to deal with crime. Some of your staff will not have access with space. It will also tell you that you need these certain types of facilities to move along and be able to go further with your zoo. As well as I need to have vets in here to deal with sick and injured animals. Terrain. There's a lot to do with terrain here. You can pull it up, push it down. You can flatten it to a foundation if you want to just make it flat like that. Flatten the surface, similar. Whoa. Chisel. This will define your terrain. Smooth it if you want smooth terrain. Roughen it if you want to make it look messy, I guess a word you can say. Here you will find your paint tools, but there is a little more options to choose from. There is a new tool in Planet Zoo that wasn't in Planet Coaster. It is the Terrain Snap tool. These will give you perfect terrain stamps in different shapes and sizes to add to your zoo. These can come in handy. We have that. We even have a pyramid. One that I really like the most is the ramp. To have elevation in your zoo, you can have the ramp like this, and it can be tedious. That's not very good, but you guys get the point. You can have your path go up this. Obviously, this is really rough, and if it is not right, you will get the terrain too uneven for placement. You will have to smooth that out or redo it and make it so that it is flat for your terrain to go through. This is a nice tool to have of going elevation throughout your zoo. Hold down R3. It will show you your zoo reputation, your animal rating, conservation rating, guest education rating, marketing, guest happiness rating, and it will show your average guest needs, if they're happy, their energy, hunger, thirst, toilet, education. You will want to make sure that in your zoos you want to have a lot of education, and that will be in your facilities. Education is a big thing in zoos. If you look around the world in zoos, you will see a lot of educational stuff. You want your guests to learn stuff while you're in the zoo. So when you go into your educational tab, you'll get the ambient speakers, you'll get your habitat educational boards. All you have to do is put it close to your habitat where your guests will see. Obviously I don't have pathing here, so it won't work the greatest, but let's get out of here. Click on that. It will give you your habitat information board where it shows content. You click on that, and typically whatever habitat animal you have close to this, it will pop up. So we'll get the capybara, and it will give a nice educational information about the capybara. As well as you can have animal talking points. You can even have little educational stations next to your path to have guests interact with these types of education. Also have an educational speaker. I like to put these in with my boards so it will talk. Obviously, you'll want to make sure that it isn't floating like that, but you get the gist of it. And a few last things just to go over your basic controls of the game. When holding square and you push the left arrow, it will undo anything that you just did. So if you push it, it's gone. If you make a mistake and undo something you want, you can just use the other arrow and it'll bring it back. Holding square and pushing the down arrow will pause your game. I suggest when doing sandbox or even career mode, it tells you in career to pause the game so you can focus on what you're doing at the moment and not have chaos unloading loose on your entire zoo while you're focusing on something else. It's a very nice feature. Holding square, and pushing up will make time go faster. There's 3 settings for time fast. Animals are unhappy. You will have protesters come into your zoo with signs. They are going to the capybara because the capybara is not happy right now, but we are not worrying about that because we are just trying to show everybody basic controls in this one. But do be aware that if your animals are not happy, protesters will come and it will bring a negative effect on your zoos. It is about the gist of basic controls. In a later video, we'll do more advanced controls for Planet Zoo. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, please do tell me those in the comments below. If you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one. See you guys.